All right, guys, let's have this conversation. Let's have a quick chat. Let's have a quick story time. All right, I got stories to share with y'all. I think I'm gonna call these like story times with MTR. All right, I gotta go out more often as well because this is a story from me going out. I feel like every time that I go out now, there's like a story or something that I can take from it, something from significance that I can share with you guys. Anyway, let's get into the story. All right. So I went out last night. It was me and my buddy, and we went out to a lounge, and we're walking up to the lounge. We're getting up online, and the architecture of the lounge is such that when you're waiting up online, you can see directly into the bar, and there's all these windows there, so you can be in the bar and communicating with someone that's outside of the bar, right? So anyway, we begin to wait online. About 2 minutes into waiting up online, was having a conversation with my partner, and out the corner of my eye, I see someone approaching me from inside of the bar. So I turn and I look, and I look at the dude, and he's like, and he stands back and he looks at me for a quick second, and he's like, YouTube? And I was like, yeah, what's good, brother? And we dapped it up real quick, you know what I'm saying? Which, by the way, is one of the weirdest things that now happens to me now. Being able to be recognized by people that I haven't met before is not something that I'm very used to. So it's very weird. It's not weird in the sense that people come up and say hello. It's the more weird thing that is weird, but but the more weird thing that I'm trying to pinpoint in here is that, you know, number one, I'm just a normal dude. You know, I'm just like any of you people. I'm just the same. I mean, there's nothing different between me as opposed to you. The second thing is that, you know, I'm just in where I live at, in my studio, you know, just orating, just reacting, commenting on different things that I see in society and in the culture. And it's always humbling to me, and it takes me aback that having a platform in a position like this, how many people that you can impact without even realizing or knowing it, right? So anyway, we began to have a dope conversation, and the conversation was really focused and circling in around just that, having a platform and the power to be able to disseminate information, especially to men, because not often do men have spaces to be able to do that. There's a lot of entertainment that hits your guys' eyes that may be unbeknownst to you, but are created by women for women, okay? I'm not going to get into it. I have a lot of other content about what I just said. Anyway, let me keep focused. Here, what was part of that conversation that was of particular significance that I wanted to stress for you guys here today. We were having this conversation, dapping up, all this love, da-da-da. He then began to ask me, what made you get over the fear or the hump to put content out there? And I said, brother, it's still scary. It's still scary. It's still scary. Because I said that, it's because I'm not perfect. And I know that anything that I say, everything is picked apart under intense scrutiny. And it can be picked apart in a way that is unfair to myself as a content creator. But it can happen, but it goes along with having a YouTube channel. I said, I've never thought that I was qualified to create what this platform is right now, but I just did it. I just did it because this is me. These are my thoughts, and I'm going to give you me 100% of the time and maintain that authenticity. What he then began to say is that, man, I've been thinking about putting something together, and he got like into a little idea that he was talking about. And I was like, yeah, man, go ahead. Like, you know, what's stopping you? And he said, what's stopping me is that I am illiterate. Illiterate, right? Can't read or write. I'm sure he can read and write, but probably not to the degree of what he thinks that he should be able to at his age. He was around my age, just to give you some insight. Okay. I said illiterate. Brother, let me tell you something. We've been sitting over here having a conversation on this long ass line for a good period of time, and there was nothing within how you have presented yourself to me in the conversation that we are having here, an intelligent conversation, that would lead me to think that you are illiterate. Nothing. But here's what has happened. You have created an obstacle for accomplishing something that you want. You have created it, you have manufactured it, and now you live by it. To the extent of bringing up something to me that I couldn't even tell myself. And I'm super perceptive. I couldn't tell that myself. The inability or the lack of the skill set to read and write has nothing to do with your ability to orate and communicate in this fashion. And herein lies the lesson for today. And I see this a lot. I see this not only just having a conversation with him, but even, coaching that I do for young men. And when they begin to talk about their situation and their stories, what I often challenge them on is the ideas that they have in their mind, which have shackled them to mediocrity. Completely shackled them to not being a risk taker, to trying, to putting the actions in place in order to achieve whatever level of greatness that it is that they're trying to achieve. In that young man's mind from yesterday, he has shackled himself, okay? He has tied himself down with some kind of preconceived notion of why he would fail if he was to try. Some people might call those excuses, but I'm not going to do that right here because I think excuses has a negative connotation to it. I'm going to label it barriers. They're mental barriers that we place on ourselves that keep us in this limiting capsule. Okay? We are our own biggest enemy. This right here, this thing up here, oh man, we can create all types of stories up to create barriers that will shackle us into not improving or staying in a place of comfortability to not even give it a shot. So as I'm sitting here and I'm trying to explain these different things to him, one thing that I did hit him with is I said, so if you really feel like being illiterate, which, prior to you saying that, I had no idea that you were illiterate, right? What are you doing to actively manage this barrier, right? And what he said to me is that, well, I'm glad that you asked. I actually have this journal that I keep, and when I hear new words, I write down the words, and I go back and I dictionary, kind of like sort of, what I did on your channel recently. I said on my channel recently, he said, yeah, I was watching a YouTube channel, and you said a word, I had no idea what it meant. I said, well, what was the word? And he said, man, I can't really remember it. And I'm like, viscosity? He was like, yeah, it was viscosity, which is hilarious because I'm like, my G, I made that word up. I made it up. Like the definition is there. It actually exists, but I use it for my own purposes, right? So we started laughing about that for a little bit. But in essence, what he said is that he does write things down, right? And he goes back, he writes them down, and he memorizes them, uses them in sentences. And I said, brother, this is a barrier. This is a barrier right now, and I'm happy that you just explained that because it tells to me that although you have identified something that is slowing down your growth, you are actively working and managing to overcome it. And I said, that's half the battle right there, because there's some people that don't even think about what it is that is slowing their progression down or have that maturity enough to be introspective to see what's holding them back. So listen, so that's the story, and I wanted to leave that with you guys here today. We actually, I ended up going into the bar, and I saw him later on that night. We started talking some more. It was a fantastic conversation. But, I appreciated the contact. I appreciated the conversation, and I appreciated the lesson as well, because it made me be a little bit more perceptive to other people's struggle, as opposed to just saying, just do it, and if you don't do it, it's an excuse. But then also in understanding how this thing up here can be our greatest asset, but it can also be our greatest enemy. Don't let your contrived ideas of what it takes and means to be successful withhold you, okay, from achieving. All right? I'm going to leave that with you guys here today. Questions, comments, concerns, y'all already know what to do. Mediocre tutorials and reviews at gmail.com. All right? Guys, hit me up. Let me know what you think. Write it down in the comment box down below. Until next time, you two. Peace!